Hi everyone, this is Kate. I'm part of the team here at Flocknote. Today we're going to be talking about how you can send a note to multiple groups within Flocknote. I've logged into Flocknote right now as a super admin. I'm going to go ahead and write a note so we can see what this looks like. You can choose to write a note to multiple groups using the blank email composer, the newsletter email composer, or a text message. I'm going to start it with our blank email composer and write a note to our volunteer team and click go. So up pops our note composer. You'll notice in the to field, we're writing a note to our volunteer team, but you also notice there's a little plus icon here. So if you click that, a list of all of the other groups that are part of our church is going to appear, so you can select an additional group to send your note to. If you're a super admin, you'll see all of the groups for your church listed here. If you're a note sender or a group admin, you're only going to see the groups listed here that you have admin privileges over. So I'm going to go ahead and select staff. You can select as many lists as you'd like, and once you're done, you can click this little X button to close that list. You'll also notice when you hover over a group, a little X will appear to remove that group from your to field. All right, so when you're sending to a group in Flocknote, typically the email is going to come from the group name. So if we were only sending to our volunteer team group, the from name of the email would be volunteer team. But now that we're sending to multiple groups, we need to specify what the from name of the email will be. So you can see this new from field appears now that we're sending to multiple groups, and it's totally editable. So if you're a super admin, this field is going to default to the church name. If you are a note sender or a group admin, this field is going to default to your own personal name. So again, this field is totally editable, so feel free to change it to whatever you'd like. And then from there, you can just continue on and compose your email as normal, send it, schedule it as you need to. Down here, I do want to point out, if you select this delivery option, it is going to update to let you know how many people are going to receive your message as you add and remove groups. You might be thinking, if I have someone that's part of both groups, are they going to get the message multiple times? The answer, thankfully, is no. They're only going to get the message once. And this is why this delivery pop-up is going to help you, because it's going to let you know, okay, I'm sending to a couple different groups, and this is specifically how many messages are going to go out and how. So that's always helpful to check. So now that we've talked a little bit about sending an email to multiple groups, I'm going to go ahead and close this, and let's talk a little bit about sending a text message to multiple groups. So typically when you send a text message in Flocknote to a group, the phone number that text message comes from is always going to be the same. So for example, when you send a text message to your volunteer team, it's going to come from a specific phone number, and the next time you send a text message to the volunteer team, it's going to come from that same phone number. So that way the person can save the phone number in their address book, and it's very easily recognizable who the message is from every time. So when you're sending a text message to multiple groups, again, we're only going to send the message to that person once, even if they're part of multiple groups that you're sending to. So the question becomes, well, what phone number is going to be used? So it is good to point out, let's say, for example, we send a text message to our volunteer team and to our Bible study group. If we have a member who is only part of one of those groups, the from phone number is just going to correspond to the group that they are a member of. But if, for example, we have a member who is part of both groups, both the volunteer team and the Bible study group, when we send a text message, you may be wondering, okay, well, what phone number is this text message going to come from? So typically, that phone number is going to correspond to the group that is listed first in this left-hand column. So in this example, the from phone number would correspond with the volunteer team because that group is listed first in this left-hand column. It's important to note the order of these groups in the left-hand column is the same for everybody in the entire church. As a super admin, you do actually have the power to rearrange these groups in the left-hand column at any time just by selecting the More button from the top and then Manage Groups, and then you'll easily be able to drag and drop the groups into a new order as you wish. So there is another caveat I do want to explain. So let's say we're sending to multiple groups, but those groups are in a hierarchy, like we have down here with our youth ministry. You can see we have 3 different levels of groups. We have our top level youth ministry, our mid-level Holy Cross High School YM, and then our subgroups down here below. So if, for example, we sent a note to our a text message to our volunteer team and also to our HCYM volunteers and our HCYM News for Parents. Which phone number would be used? In this instance, the system's going to use the phone number that corresponds to the lowest level hierarchy. So again, that would be these groups here. And then within that hierarchy, if you're sending to multiple groups on the same level, the group that is listed first. So in this instance, again, we're sending to volunteer team, HCYM volunteers, and HCYM News for Parents. The from phone number is going to correspond with this HCYM volunteers because it's listed first within the lowest level hierarchy. So you may be wondering why that is. The thinking behind that is basically if someone replies stop to that text message, it's going to unsubscribe them from the specific group that the phone number corresponds with. So if you're sending to a hierarchy, obviously we don't want to pull them out of multiple groups at once, so that's why we're choosing that lowest level hierarchy. And you may also be wondering, so what happens if someone clicks the unsubscribe link at the bottom of an email? That's a good question. If they do that, they're going to be taken to a page where they're shown all of their groups that they're a member of, so they can choose which group specifically they'd like to opt out of receiving notes from. Hopefully that gives you guys a good overview of how sending to multiple groups within Flocknote works. If you have any questions at all, feel free to reach our happiness engineers at help@flocknote.com. All of this information I just went over is also detailed in an FAQ over at help.flocknote.com as well.